It's Christmas Day in the Vendée Globe, the skipper's 45th day at sea, and Merry Christmas. We bring you a little montage showing you what Christmas Day is like on an IMOCA yacht for the skippers, and then Nico Lunven gives us an update. We then have the tracker, the leaderboard, PredictWind options for Yoann Richomme as he makes his way up the South Atlantic, and then we give you an extended update from Conrad Colman, and then Andi Robertson has a great chat with Pip Hare as she approaches Melbourne, where it looks like she's going to get quite a welcome.
Dans la nuit du 24 au 25 décembre, en France, c'est mon repère maintenant.
Alors on est parti les amis, dans ma boîte. Les cadeaux. Oh bah ça je savais plus la trouver avant. Mais le cagou là.
Hello. Aujourd'hui c'est Noël et dans mes sacs d'avitaillement j'ai des petits trucs comme ça là. Et du coup je me suis dit vas-y je vais en faire une petite guirlande, je vais me faire une petite déco de Noël.
Joyeux réveillon à bord de Groupe Dubreuil. Depuis que je suis tout petit, je vois des marins porter des bonnets du Père Noël dans leur bateau. Cette fois, j'en fais partie.
Hello tout le monde, et ben on est le 24 décembre à bord de Groupe Apicile. Et ben minuit vient de passer. Donc, qui dit minuit passé, dit on va pouvoir ouvrir des cadeaux. Alors, j'ai un sac qui est rempli de petites attentions superbes. On va en prendre un au hasard. Hop, ici, comme ça. On va voir ce qu'il y a dedans. Alors, qu'est-ce qu'on a? On a une paire de chaussettes Starboard and Port, voilà, vert et rouge, avec un petit mot qui nous dit « Te trompe pas dans les feux si tu arrives de nuit. » C'est Guigui. Merci Guigui. Eh ben, je vais prendre le temps de déballer tous mes cadeaux au fur et à mesure. Merci beaucoup pour vos petites attentions, ça me fait super plaisir. Et voilà, je vous souhaite, j'espère que vous avez passé déjà un bon réveillon et je vous souhaite une bonne journée de Noël. Voilà, faites ça dignement. Ciao, ciao.
皆さんメリークリスマス。今本町小学校の子供たちの送ってくれたですねクリスマスソングかけながらクリスマスです。ハッピークリスマス。今日はね外は天気が良くて、朝からね総点検しました。
Hello here, we are on a Christmas day, so I would like to wish Merry Christmas to all the Holcim teams, Lafarge teams, and of course PRB teams as well. Wonderful day here, the sky is blue, full sun, 20-25 knots of wind, the sea state is not so bad, the sea state was good this morning. Start to become a bit worse, but still okay. And we are like 4 days to the Cape Horn, which will be probably a good present. A bit late, but a good present to cross the Cape Horn.
The tracker at 0600 hours shows us how Yoann Richomme really has the hammer down at over 25 knots, whereas there may be a problem for Charlie Dalin on MACIF Santé Prévoyance, making only 6.3 knots. He's usually kept things quiet when he has a problem. The speed is a bit of a giveaway. We will probably find out in 24 to 48 hours if he's fixed the problem, and he'll then tell us about it. He doesn't like to give away too much information during an incident. The next person to round Cape Horn will be Seb Simon, who should make it round at some point today on Christmas Day. As we go back to the group then between 4th and 11th place, we can see they've got a busy Christmas. They are making their way across to the east, but there are lots and lots of jibes, as we can see there for Thomas Rouillon. His course is just jibing along that ice boundary. Whereas the group here, we've got Jeremy Bayou and Nico Lunven, who are just a little bit further north. They should be able to take a few less jibes if they decide to take a converging course with Richomme there. At the back we've got Justine Metreau of this little group, who's actually really closed up there to Paul Milhat. And we've got Boris Herrmann also making his way along the ice boundary, making 20.6 knots in 7th place. For the group approaching Point Nemo, we've got Clarisse Crémer and Sam Davies almost side by side. Things far simpler for them. Finally back in the breeze after the light wind they had to endure, and no jibes as they make their way along the ice boundary, chased by Benjamin Dutroux. And then a little bit further back we've got Romain Attanasio and Damien Seguin. A little bit further back in the Pacific we've got Jean Le Cam in 17th and Giancarlo Pedot in 19th. We can see the light wind still persisting to the south of New Zealand, and there in 25th we've got Violette Dorange, and taking a little bit more of a northern option we've got Conrad Colman and also Kojiro Shiraishi. Next into the Pacific Ocean will be Oliver here, and just up towards Australia we can see Pip Hare making her way up towards Melbourne, and we'll be hearing from her later. The ranking there shows Yoann Richomme has now pulled out his lead to 92 nautical miles and is averaging over 4 knots faster than Charlie Dalin over the last 24 hours. Seb Simon, the one approaching Cape Horn right now, averaging 14.83 knots, but now 711 nautical miles from the lead. There is then a huge gap, over 1,000 nautical miles to Thomas Rouillon in 4th place, but he has opened up a gap of 110 nautical miles on Jeremy Bayou and Nico Lunven, who are in 5th and 6th. Boris Herrmann there, we can see his next target will be Lunven, and he's got just under 60 nautical miles to make it up to 6th place overall. Sam Goodchild there in 8th, and we can see Justine Metreau continues to make progress towards the top 10. Next target, just 6 nautical miles ahead, is Paul Milhat. And coming down a little bit further, leading daggerboard boat, we've got Jean Le Cam in 17th place, and we can see also their 26th place Conrad Colman, who we will hear from in a bit. The PredictWind routing options for Yoann Richomme, compiled by sailworld.com's New Zealand editor Richard Gladwell, shows him initially hugging that ice boundary, which extends quite far north into the South Atlantic. It's after this point that various options open up, and he will find it far harder than to cover the option of Charlie Dalin. And we see he's making his way along the South American coastline. We have chosen just a single point there, just around the equator, but he could cross the equator at any point there. So there are many, many options which can be taken as they approach the equator, which will be in around 12 to 13 days' time.
I've got wind! It's me, and that's the wind, and there's this crazy, really high depression in between New Zealand and Tasmania. It's going to make Hobart uncomfortable. So yeah, thoughts for those sailors that are going to be doing the Sydney Hobart race, because having that depression in the middle of the Tasman Sea at the moment is going to be nasty for boats that are going southwest. But more importantly, for me at least, is it's providing pretty strong south, primarily southerly winds that allows me to reach towards the east. And over the past couple of hours I have gone more east than Violette, than Tanguy, than Benjamin Ferré, and so that's exciting because I'm the one that's got the wind at the moment. I went looking for this for the winds coming off this depression in the Tasman, and it's a little bit uncomfortable again because I've split from the fleet massively, and I really hope that it works this time. In the short term, undoubtedly. In the long term, over the next week or 10 days, we've got, again, crazy systems, and it's going to be interesting to see how my northerly position plays out. But for the moment, it's pretty cool to be moving along solidly. Last night I had 30 knots of wind and was reaching with 2 reefs in the J3 at almost 30, well, I think I did hit 30 knots at boat speed at one point. And then it completely shut off in the span of a couple of hours, went from 30 knots to 6 knots, and I was terrified that this option was not going to work at all. But little by little, over the course of the beautiful sunny day that we've had, the wind has come back, and my spirits as well. So fingers crossed that this option works. Also, to continue your education in the mocha world, the empty cable that I've hoisted in front of the J2 that you saw at the beginning of this video, what's that's for? It is called the chicken stay, or in French the faux câble, the false cable, and it's there just to help support the mast. On this boat, the J2, or the fractional forestay, is really, really low, and so that means that you've got lots of sort of empty mast whipping around up there, and particularly when I start to take a reef, then that means that I've got a lot of mast that can sort of wave around up there. And so by having another empty forestay that helps constrain that the masthead, then that helps keep the mast pointing upright. So that's good news. Also, it helps that in case there's a problem with the J2 furler, like Louis Burton had, like Jeremy Biu had in the last Transat this year, yes. Then if I have a J2 failure, then I'll still keep the rig up. So it's a little bit of extra safety. It's a little bit of putting all the chance on my side that I can help keep the rig up during the course of this crazy race. And now you know what a chicken stay is. Anyway, wishing you all the very best for a beautiful, wonderful, hopefully family and friend-filled Christmas. Clearly, I don't have that this year. But it is a wonderful opportunity to be living an incredible adventure out here all by myself. And while that pulls on my heartstrings a little bit, I wouldn't have any other way, at least once out of every 4 years. So lots of love to my family and to yours from the Southern Ocean.
We are indeed. I think we've got Pip here, hopefully joining us online, approaching Melbourne, hopefully on the slow boat to Melbourne. Pip, how are you?
Hello. I'm sort of mixed. Yeah, I mean, I'm managing my way to Melbourne quite well, but yeah, kind of watching the rest of the fleet and all of that. I'm missing out, aren't I? Yeah.
You are missing out, but it's great to see you, Pip. How's the weather looking to get you in? You're making progress.
Yeah, so I've done, since I dismasted, I've sailed 600 miles and I've got 200 to go. But my Christmas present is 25 knot headwinds. So I think I'm not going to go anywhere tomorrow at all. And hopefully after that, I've got some westerlies and it should be relatively simple to get there.
But Pip, you're getting massive support out there. I think your social media following has doubled or something crazy. But what's your plan? You do have a plan for the near future. Get back, and you've got another mast, I believe.
Yeah, that's right. I actually put a new mast in the boat just before the New York Vendée. So I have my old mast still, and really kind of the focus now for us is getting the boat back to Europe and getting it back into racing conditions so that we can participate in the 2025 season.
And what do you want to do as soon as you get in? What's your first target as soon as you touch land?
So I've got an amazing group of people who are coming out to meet me, because actually the harbour in Melbourne is 30 nautical miles long. So once I go through the heads, there's still quite a long way to go to Melbourne. And I've got some volunteers from the Ocean Racing Club of Victoria are coming out to meet me, and they've said they'll bring me fruit and beer. And I think when I get in, I really want to have a shower, Andy. I think everyone's going to want me to have a shower, actually.
And listen, we've got Paul Larson with us on our live, and he's going to connect with you. I gather he's going to be on the shore waiting for you.
Well, yeah, you can run, Paul, but you can't hide.
Paul, say hello to Pip.
Well, we've been chatting, and it was a very, I mean, I think it's a meeting. We both like to see each other at the best of times, just not under these circumstances. And it's going to be, I think we're both going to feel the pain when we actually look at each other across the dock in Melbourne. But all I can say is that I'm when I heard the news and I did the call out in Melbourne, my sailing career, professional sailing career, hasn't existed in Melbourne, but I reached out, and it was amazing to see how many people stepped up and taken on the job of rolling out the mat for Pip. And I think I'll be standing at the back of a long queue of people waiting to see her in. And I know how much it's going to hurt Pip. I know there's a part of her that just wants to stay out there on the water and pretend this isn't happening, but it's Melbourne's going to do its best to show her a good time and help ease the pain. So here we go.
Thank you very much for watching today, and whatever you're doing or have done on your Christmas day, I hope you're having a great one. We'll continue to bring you the latest news with a Boxing Day update from both this Vendée Globe and also the Rolex Sydney Hobart Yacht Race start. Please do subscribe to our channel using the button down here, and take a look at sailworld.com and yachtsandyachting.com for all the latest news. Wishing you a very Merry Christmas.